Protecting Breastfeeding, a guide for parents breastfeeding during disaster or emergency. Children under the age of 5 are at an increased risk during an emergency. Many factors contribute to this increased risk. Food, adequate water, and shelter all may be limited or unavailable. Shelters may be overcrowded and frightening to small children. Families who stay in their homes may not have adequate sanitation or be inundated with floodwaters. Children may be separated from parents, and families are likely to experience traumatic events or images. Formula and bottle feeding increases risk to infants because it may be hard to obtain, and it requires mixing with clean drinking water. Powdered formulas are not sterile, and therefore a mother must also access a source to boil the water to sterilize the formula. Infants and children could be stranded and unable to access formula or water. All over the world, breastfeeding has been found to be a protective factor against many different types of disaster. Breastfeeding does not require storage or handling and is not dependent on clean drinking water. Mothers can continue to make milk even when they are dehydrated and malnourished. The continuation of breastfeeding during an emergency is best for babies. Know that your breast milk can provide complete nutrition for infants under 6 months and adequate nutrition for older babies when complementary foods are not available. In December 2006, the story of Katie Kim captivated the nation when she kept her 2 daughters, ages 4 and 7 months, alive, in part by breastfeeding them after they became lost in an Oregon forest for 9 days. Families should have an emergency plan in place, especially families living in disaster-prone areas. Emergency kits should contain nutrient-dense snacks for the breastfeeding mother, as well as an adequate supply of water. A mother who is pump dependent should keep a charged battery backup with her emergency kit and cooler with ice packs that can be accessed to preserve her pumped milk if there is a loss of power or evacuation. Families should also have a designated meeting location in case they become separated in an emergency. The meeting place should be with friends or family who would be outside of the evacuated area and who may continue to have access to food, water, and electricity. Partners and support people should understand that continuing to breastfeed is best for the mom and the infant and should not provide formula as an alternative. Partners and other support people have a crucial role to play in protecting breastfeeding during an emergency. Partners can make sure that emergency supplies are stocked and replenished and easily accessible during an emergency. In Colorado, it is wise to keep chains, emergency blankets, food and water, and flares in the car year-round, especially if you are traveling at elevations above 6,000 feet. If disaster strikes, remind your partner that continuing to breastfeed is the safest option for your baby. Praise her for her efforts and hard work, and make sure she is being cared for while she cares for others. Share in the child care responsibilities of the older children. Protect her from others who might believe she should switch to formula. Help her create a private space for breastfeeding if you are staying in a shelter or with family or friends. Floods are one of the most common natural disasters. In September of 2013, Colorado was affected by a massive flood started by unseasonable rainfall. Residents were largely unprepared for the widespread flooding and damage to infrastructure. Entire communities were cut off, unable to evacuate, and had to be rescued. Breastfeeding is beneficial, portable, and always available on demand. Be prepared for disaster and protect breastfeeding.